very pleased to host this event today. It's the launch of a book and a discussion for the Great Himalayan National Park, the struggle to save the Western Himalayas. Recently, I am a very coastal person and I spend most of my time at the coast. And I'm not a huge fan of climbing straight up and straight down, which is what you have to do when you're in the Himalayas. But recently my son, and I'm a huge proponent and what should I say, someone who writes constantly about the incredible biodiversity of the Western Ghats. But recently, a couple of years ago, my son started to go to boarding school in the Himalayas. And I've been spending time up there, continually struck by the extraordinary biodiversity there. And clearly, it's an amazing treasure that India has. So this session is particularly welcome. Thank you for having me here. We have with us today Mr. Sanjeeva Pandey, who is an officer of the Indian Forest Service from the Himachal Pradesh cadre. He served as the director of the Great Himalayan National Park from 1998 to 2006, which is a prime hotspot of biological diversity in the Western Himalaya. Please join us on stage. In conversation with him, we have Ravi Chellam, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Metastring Foundation and a wildlife biologist and conservation scientist. Please join us on stage. And we also have Ajai Saxena. I'm just looking for a bio. But sorry, Mr. Saxena. Ajai Saxena is, in fact, looks after Goa's department of the Forest Department. And welcome, Mr. Saxena, and thank you very much for this event. Who should I thank?
Thanks, Vivek. Good afternoon, everybody. Today we are here to launch and talk about this book. A book which documents the struggle over decades to establish the national park and end up attaining the World Heritage status for it. It's a wonderful story about a wonderful place, the people interacting and living amongst this beauty, and it's a fantastic story. It's also a very unique book about which we'll talk in a little bit. But to begin with, I think Sanjeeva has put together a set of wonderful pictures to take us through a pictorial journey of the national park, to introduce us to the national park, and then we will start the conversation. Sanjeeva.
So good afternoon everyone, and I'm rather overwhelmed to be here in Goa, bringing you Himalaya, right, in this room, small room. So we'll try to tell you about my book, which is on Great Himalayan National Park, and the subtitle is The Struggle to Save the Western Himalaya. So it has become a World Heritage Site, and the thing which has made it a World Heritage Site is this, that is the biological diversity of the park. So there are actually 10 criteria in UNESCO, and 10th one is for a natural World Heritage Site, and Great Himalayan National Park qualified that, and because it qualified that, it has been inscribed as a World Heritage Site in 2014. Next please. So just to show you some of the biological diversity of the park, these are 5 major pheasants which are occurring in the park, and let me tell you like this, that there are 49 pheasants found all over the world, out of which 16 are here in India and 7 are in Himachal Pradesh. Out of those 7, 5 are represented in the park. Next please. This is a very rare kind of a pheasant which occurs in the park and known as Western Tragopan. And Western Tragopan is also known, the full name in English is Western horned tragopan, because when it displays during the breeding season, then you can see two horns of sapphire color, and that gives its name like Western horned tragopan. Next please. This is yet another pheasant which is of vulnerable status, red data listed, and it is known as cheer pheasant. These are kind of birds which are giving park its diversity and diverse. They are found in diverse habitats, and the special thing is outstanding universal value, that is OUV. So in case we talk about OUV, which is the basic criteria for a site to become a World Heritage Site, then these two things, these two birds, they really top the charts. Next please. These are yet other vulnerable species like common leopard and snow leopard found in the national park, and in very, very high reaches, especially the snow leopard, which is a trans-Himalayan species. Next please. And some of you may be knowing this. This is a musk deer, and most of you know musk because of the lotion or the fragrance. So this is again found in the national park in plenty and very well protected, again a vulnerable species, red data 1. Next one. This is snow leopard, and about snow leopard I can tell you that this is also a state bird of the state of Himachal Pradesh. Next please. We can continue with the look at Himalayan biological diversity, and which is found in the Great Himalayan National Park. This is Himalayan black bear, which is in plenty in the park and very well protected. Next please. And that is a brown bear. So brown bear is something which is like you people may be knowing mostly about grizzly bear in America. So it's they are kind of relatives to each other. So in India, or especially in this part of Himalayas, we have brown bear. So this is a very common ungulate known as ghoral, and ghorals are found in grassy lands in Great Himalayan National Park and even otherwise. So this particular animal is gregarious in nature at times, and in case you want to see it, you will have to be there early in the morning or maybe late evening. And the sightings are really good and exciting over there. Next please. We were talking about bigger animals, and now these smaller ones like invertebrates or butterflies. There is one particular butterfly known as Apollo butterfly, which is found in very high reaches of the park and which is quite endangered. So the park inhabits even endangered butterflies. Next please. So here it is actually all this wildlife is found in various habitats. So these habitats, you can see, you can have a look out here, you can see from the ground level, and then the bushes, and then smaller trees, bigger trees, and then alpine area, which is the snowbound area. We usually think of that snowbound area doesn't have much of life, but as I have already shown you, this is the snow leopard and bharal. Bharal is in fact the blue sheep, which is found over there, and which is found in plenty and very well protected. Next please. Western Himalayas has good diversity of flowering plants, and four of the rhododendrons, they are found in Himachal Pradesh, and all four of them are very nicely represented in the park. You can see the second one over there on top, that is Rhododendron campanulatum, and that has been given the status of state flower of Himachal Pradesh. Next please. Herbal flora is very important, especially for the glaciers, which used to be earlier there, but now after becoming of a national park and becoming a World Heritage Site, these people have been stopped going over there, and they have been given alternate sites for grazing. but these are kind of the last one, the fourth one. You can have a look at that. That is known as Brahma Kamal, and Brahma Kamal is very holy to the local people. The first one is actually Picrorhiza Karua, which is very medicinal plant, especially very nice medicinal plant, especially for stomach aches and all. And same thing is true for the rest of the two which are in between. Next, please. This is very important slide, important transparency in the sense that these are the four major river origins of the park, right? The first one, the left one on top is Tirath, and that is the origin of Tirthan river. And the second one is Raktisar, which is the origin of Sanj river. Third one is a Tarn, T-A-R-N, that is the English word for a glacial lake. So this is origin of Jivanal river. And the fourth one is Mantalai, or which is the origin of Parvati river. You will notice here that all the origins of the rivers in the park, they are above 4,000 meters. That means very high. These are glacial areas, and these are actual areas which we should say what we call as infrastructure of India, right? So these are actual infrastructure of India, not your roads or dams or whatsoever. Next, please. Some very ancient looking trees, like this is a yew tree, okay? And yew trees are found in the park, and when we talk about them in detail, we will come to know their properties, medicinal properties. Next, please. Very rare kind of a thing to see. They are known as crumbles in German language, which are actually stunted shrubs, and they can be seen just below the snow line, and you can have entirely different kind of fauna over there. Next, please. This is kind of valley of flowers of Himachal Pradesh in the Great Himalayan National Park, and shown in our book very nicely and described over there. Another scene of snowbound mountains over there. Yes, please. These are jumbled peaks and very good place for a snow leopard to live, or even the gulls to live in there. Yes, please. And you can again see these are kind of huts we have created in the mountains in the Great Himalayan National Park, where the staff can go and stay while patrolling. None of these huts are manned, so that's how actually you just go there, have a nice time, or live there, look at the nature, come back, and please do not disturb the hut. Otherwise, some of the people, they have been using its even planks to cook their food. Next, please. Look at that. That is actually the crevasses, and crevasses are in plenty, and you have sometimes you have to cross them in case you want to cross Pin Parvati Pass. You are going from one major valley into the other. You are going from Vyas Valley into the Satluj Valley. Next, please. This is actually the human beings who are living next to the park, and in case we really want to do conservation, we have to take them along, and that is the only way to conserve. Next, please. And these are people all over the world who have come together, and this is my last slide. 26 of them, they have come together and they have donated their energy and time. And through that, we have made lots of interventions in the park, as well as they have contributed in the making of an application to UNESCO. They have written it together. It was a volunteer work, and on the basis of which the park has been inscribed as a World Heritage Site. So this is my presentation, and after that may I request both of my colleagues to come over and we start talking about it. Thank you so much.
When did the idea of the book and how did the idea of the book come about? And your co-author lives in Canada, many miles away. How was the process? I know email, internet, all of that is there, but to collaborate on the writing of a book, the distance separating, you being an in-service officer, having to deal with your daily routine, and then devote time, plus go to the field. Where did the idea come from? What is the process of writing?
This is a bit longish answer, okay? So bear with me. what happens that it was 1980s, then there is a person called Anthony J. Gaston, okay, and he used to be part of Canadian Wildlife Service. He was in love with India and especially the Western Himalayas. So he came here, he assembled a team whereby people from European universities, American universities, Delhi University, Indian Forest Service officials, Himachal Pradesh Forest Department, all these people, they came together, something like 25 of them, right? And then they started doing surveys to create first national park in Himachal Pradesh. They were zeroing down on two sites. One was in Manali, which is in Solang Nala, maybe some of you have been there, and the second one is the present one. Because there is very less tourist pressure in this particular site, and there are still people are living in the ways, subsistence economy, what we call, and there is not much of pressure on the area which was to be designated as a national park. Considering all these points, this particular area was considered to become a national park. And in 1994, the Himachal Pradesh government accepted the recommendation of these wildlife survey parties, and in 1994 it was declared the intention of creation of Great Himalayan National Park. Once that was done, and in 1999, to cut the whole story short, it was finally notified after purchase of rights of the local people, because there were no habitation. It was done in a manner that within the delineated area, there was not even a single habitation, human habitation. But they were rights of local people, like they were rights of grazing, they were rights of herb collection. So that those rights are defined in British time forest settlement. So those rights were bought by the collector of Kullu, who was appointed as settlement officer, and something like 2 crore rupees of compensation was given to 350 families whose names were inscribed in the settlement report. So that was the process, and we wanted to write down that process, and that gave us the idea of writing this particular book. And the whole process is described here, because in most of the cases, the parks which are made in India, they are not undergoing the survey process or observing wildlife in the area. They are mostly done. They were done like in political manner also, in the sense that when our Prime Minister was in Stockholm in 1972, and when she comes back with Madam Gandhi, then she saw that this is a great thing to do. And then she ordered all the political colleagues of hers that in their particular constituencies there has to be something which is a protected area. And that time something like 60 or 70 national parks were created in that particular area, in that particular year, around say between 1972 and 1975. So this is a national park, this is a protected area which has been considered after due diligence or after number of surveys and and so to say application of mind, that this is the area which needs to be made into a park which can be a successful biological diversity area.
Process of writing, the challenges of writing.
Okay, the challenges of writing. Actually, we took about 4 years of doing that. The thing is that even I was keeping very elaborate notes, and my co-author was also keeping very elaborate. But we had one big hurdle out here, that was collection of pictures. So what we had done, because I am a forest officer also, and we told that our forest guards should do a photography of birds and animals if they have interest in there. I mean, no compulsion at all, and they have been doing that. Number of forest guards, they have contributed their pictures to this book, which we are going to release today. And that was something which really encouraged me, because I mean I was thinking how to get these kind of pictures and which are truly from the national park. Otherwise you can get pictures of from the zoos and all. So that sort of a thing happened. And one more thing which is technological thing, that is trap cameras. So about 10 or 15 pictures are such which are from trap cameras, and we have included them in our book.
There's a very important thing that needs to happen. The book needs to be officially released. Can I call Anita and Mrs. Pandey to come? Yes? The book is dedicated to you. Please come up.
Behind the author and the work.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
They suffer a lot. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for that session, Sanjeeva Pandey.